Hey guys, Andrew here, and welcome back to Blue Collar and Rich. I gotta say, I respect and acknowledge the fact that you're here right now. You're here and not watching cat videos, okay? You're here because you're trying to seek out some financial understanding, improve your financial stability, and I respect that, all right? So I want to talk about something called a financial house. This is a quick way to take a broad look at your overall financial situation and figure out how stable it is. Many of us have very precarious financial situations and we don't even realize it. Okay, so it's called the financial house. Let's get right into it here. Some of you, I'm sure, own your own home or maybe own a few properties. What is the most important part of a house? When you buy a house and you have your friends over for the first time, what are you showing them first? You know, many people say the kitchen, the bathroom, the patio. These are the areas of the house that people get most fired up about, right? But if I'm talking to a contractor, he's going to say the most important part is the foundation. He's going to want to run downstairs, if he's a good friend of yours, and he's going to check it out, hopefully before you bought the house. And he wants to make sure to know that you've got a good, solid property. Are there any cracks? Is there flooding? Is there moss or mold down there? Because if he sees that, he's going to tell you to run away, that this is a lemon, this is nothing but problems, okay? Our financial house, it's no different. You either have a strong, solid foundation that can weather any storm, or you've got one with some problems that could use a good patch job, right? So, what is your most valuable asset? Think a little bit more abstractly when I say something like this, okay? What's your most valuable asset? Most people are going to say, my house. Well, see, I would argue that your house isn't putting any money in your pocket. You know, the old Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad description, he was one of the first to tell people, to educate people and say, your house is not an asset. And I mean, technically it is an asset, but it's the bank's asset because the bank is making money off of that asset. It's not putting any money in your pocket. But your most valuable asset in life is you. It's your ability to earn an income, okay? So this is where I'm going to put our foundation. This is money coming into the household. This is the area that supports everything in your financial house. Without this, nothing else happens. Cool? That makes sense? Now let's go one level up. Let's start talking about your obligations. Let's start talking about those expenses, those things that keep life going. So you have a house, right? Well, mortgage insurance. Who is the beneficiary for mortgage insurance? A lot of people, when they hear the name beneficiary, they think of their spouse, they think of their kids, their siblings. But with mortgage insurance, the bank or the lender is actually the beneficiary because they're the ones that are worried about getting paid. You're paying the premiums, they're the beneficiary. So the flow of money is going away from you, okay? Mortgage insurance, you pay for it, someone else gets the benefit. House insurance. So think fire, flood. And then again, this is maybe perhaps more of an abstract question. Who is the beneficiary? The house. The house is a beneficiary because if you have a fire or a flood, you know, I mean, depending on how bad it is, you know, chances are they're not just going to cut you a check and say, here you go, we are so sorry. A couple years ago, my mom had a flood in her house and on the lower level, and it destroyed the carpet. So the company hired an appraiser, sent the appraiser to the property, checked it out, and they told her what would be repaired, what would be paid for. Okay, they didn't give her a check. That the money went towards the house, and she had no say on what would be covered. Okay, so the money is going towards your house. All right. Again, you're paying the premium, and the benefit is going to someone else or somewhere else. Okay. You're probably noticing a bit of a trend now. Car insurance. No different, right? You get into a car wreck the bumper gets fixed, and again, the money is going towards the car. Life insurance, the big one. This, I hope, is an obvious one. You are not the beneficiary. Once again, you are paying the premium, the monthly premium, but the benefit will be going to someone else. Okay, this will only pay out when you're no longer here. Obviously not the most ideal. Important, still very important. Clearly lots of us have loved ones that are depending on our income, our most valuable asset. Once it's time to move on, the life insurance kicks in, and our hopefully the quality of life of our loved ones won't be negatively impacted. Okay. Now, medical. I live in the province of British Columbia, and no doubt wherever you are watching this video, it's going to be a unique set of circumstances. Here we have something called MSP. So you are paying a monthly premium, and again, you are not the beneficiary. So if I get sick, if I get injured, I get diagnosed with something and I have to go to hospital, the nurses, the doctors, the equipment, all of that is being covered because I'm a Canadian, I have health care, but I am paying that monthly premium and someone else is getting the benefit. So as you can see, this is a pretty clear representation of the flow of money going away from you. Okay, these are all obligations. And then outside of this, I'm just gonna say bills. The cost of living, right? This is everything else. So these are our obligations and our expenses, everything that keeps our life moving along, right? So money comes in, money goes out. Makes sense? Pretty basic. Next level up. After you take care of these obligations, if you have anything left, hopefully you do, you'll be contributing to savings, okay? Now, in an expensive city like Vancouver, some of us don't have anything left over at the end of the month, and that's called living paycheck to paycheck. That is a very realistic situation for a lot of people in this world. Some of you might have seen my first video where I was spelling off some stats. They say 75% of people these days are living paycheck to paycheck. So this is a very realistic situation, okay? This is almost, it's scary, but this is actually considered normal these days, and people just laugh about it. Oh, I'm paycheck to paycheck. It's just turned into a big joke these days. Now, some people have it even worse off though. Some people are actually using credit cards to cover some of those obligations, and those people are actually underwater. You hope something like that is only temporary, and it's something like that, those situations can cause some extremely terrible, dire straits, financial hardship, and that's why in another one of my videos I emphasize the fact of how important it is to sit down on a regular basis and go over your numbers, because that will give you the ability to make better decisions moving forward, right? And you won't know how to run your life if you don't know where you are financially speaking, right? So going back here, savings would be the next thing you're contributing to after your obligations. And then clearly after savings, we've got, let's hope you're thinking about retirement, right? We don't want to work every day for the rest of our lives. And I'll put in investments. All right, so this is the financial house. Pretty basic, pretty simple, nothing too scary so far. The question that I pose for people, the scary question that I ask is, what happens if the universe throws you a curveball, maybe a family emergency, an injury, a sickness, very plausible situations, and this goes away? The first thing that you're going to do is, you're going to realize your bills don't change. You're not going to get a letter from the bank and say, Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so, we are so sorry that you've been in hospital for such a time. Let's just put your mortgage payment on hold, and we'll then reevaluate things when you get out of the hospital. That's not a reality, and I'm sure some of you who are watching this video know this inside and out and backwards on what I'm talking about. So your bills stay the same, they don't change. So you start dipping into your savings if you have any, right? So that starts going away. And then your retirement and your investments. Maybe you're selling off some stocks, maybe you're selling off some of your investments, getting rid of some properties if you have more than one, just so that you can keep financing your life and maintain that quality of life that you and your family depend on. Now, why is that so dangerous? Why is that so scary? If it's not obvious, anyone who has studied compound interest should understand that as soon as you stop contributing to investments and start pulling funds out of your investments, you destroy compound interest. So compound interest works like this. You don't see a lot of progress early on, but later on in life, it just takes off like a rocket. So if I have to start selling off investments and stop contributing to my investments, then this happens to compound interest. You end up adding quite possibly years to your retirement. I watch a lot of videos on Warren Buffett. I'm sure a lot of you do. He's clearly an amazing man and worth following. And I saw a video of him on YouTube not that long ago of him giving a speech to a group of students at their graduation. And it's not a recent video. It was published a while ago, and it stands out with me in this example because it plays directly to this situation. He told this room full of students that every single day he receives emails from people in financial hardship. He says he gets about 12 emails a day. And he says he can divide everyone in those emails into two groups. The first group are people who are in financial trouble due to credit cards. And he said, that's easy enough to fix, okay? That's lack of financial understanding, financial intelligence, and a poor willingness to follow the rules, right? Just stop spending more than you earn and you'll be okay. And he kind of breezed past that section. The second group of people that he can attribute to these emails are the people that society truly has failed. He says this is the group of people who find themselves behind the 8 ball, perhaps early on in life, because of a serious injury or a sickness, a diagnosis, and they never recovered from their medical bills. Okay, I have a friend who was in a motorcycle accident in 2011. She lost her ability to drive for a year and a half. She lost her ability to work for a year and a half. I also have another good friend of mine who is permanently disabled after going to the hospital, and unfortunately, very sad story, he actually ended up acquiring a superbug and became permanently disabled with a brain disability. These are very real possibilities, and people who don't have a strong foundation are at a high level of risk, very susceptible to having their entire financial situation fall down around them in pieces. And that speech that I saw Warren Buffett do with the students really stood out to me. I apologize for having not published any content recently. This actually hit home for me just recently. Last week, I was rushed to hospital at 4:30 in the morning on Wednesday when my wife had to call me an ambulance, and I woke up with excruciating pain. I had a kidney stone and ended up spending a couple days in hospital and then had a few more days for recovery. So in the grand scheme of things, not a terrible event. I couldn't work for 5 days, okay, but that's my story, that's my example. I don't know what's going to happen to me next week, next month, next year, and I want to make sure that my finances are situated so that I'm protected no matter what, because everything depends on this foundation. Absolutely everything. Most of us have one source of income, one job, your name is on one paycheck. And if you don't have multiple sources of income, because that's one way to reduce your risk, if you only have one job, then I highly, highly suggest looking at ways to protect your only ability to earn an income. There are so many strategies out there, and I don't want to get into too much of it right now. It's going to turn the video into make the video too long. But I will be producing more content in the future that will hopefully give you guys some more options. There's incredible systems in place that are designed to support you and help you and give you that peace of mind. This is a really important concept, guys, and I just hope that you like what you saw. Comment on the video if you have any questions. I'll point you in the right direction. I'm passionate about this stuff, and if you think you have anyone in your network that would benefit from it, please share the video. Subscribe to the channel, follow my channel, and let me know what you're interested in, because I love doing this kinds of stuff. Okay, because this is helping me as well. Just being able to sit here and not just digest this content, but to deliver it to all of you. It's a chance of a lifetime, and I'm really enjoying it. Okay, so guys, I hope you found some value in this. Let's turn this into a discussion. Let's talk about it. We all have stories of someone that has experienced terrible financial hardship because of something that they didn't plan for. And I don't want to sound like the sky is falling, but we all know the numbers. We all know statistically, you're going to get sick, you're going to get injured. It's the world we live in. We don't want to live our lives in padded rooms. No one would enjoy that lifestyle anyways. Don't cower and shy away and think there's nothing I can do. There is something you can do. Inform yourself, educate yourself, make sure that you have a good grasp on your financial situation, and then reach out. There's all kinds of information out there to access to make a plan, a strong plan, a valuable plan that will protect you when you need it, but also grow your investments. I like to tell people it's nice to have a system that you can rely on, coverage, protection, and then an investment plan, okay? Because if you only have one, if you only have the investments, well then this is now serving as your investments and your coverage at the same time. You're only ever going to get one out of it, okay? This is an important concept to understand. If you're only relying on your investments, and let's say you've worked your butt off for 5, 10, 15, 20 years, you want to protect it, don't you? You don't want one diagnosis, because you're one diagnosis away from eroding that investment and that nest egg, and it'll be gone just like that. So I don't know. I hope this was helpful in some way, and possibly got you to start asking some tough questions to yourself. It's the world we live in, and I'm hoping that this was beneficial to you.